This is America, where the FIFA World Cup kicks off in less than a week. Now, football here is traditionally played in helmets and pads, but soccer, well, that's seeing a surge in popularity, particularly among immigrant communities. I'll have more on that in a moment, but first it's over to Rob Matheson in our Washington studio.
Well, thanks, Rory. It's going to be the biggest FIFA World Cup ever. 48 teams in 3 countries, and as Rory just said, it's going to start in just a few days. Now, a love of sport is supposed to bring people together, but this is a time of division and protest and conflict in the United States. It's got trade disputes with the other 2 hosts, and it's at war with Iran, one of the first countries to qualify.
I mean, the problem with Iran, it would be not their athletes. It would be some of the other people that we want to bring with them, some of whom have ties to the IRGC. We may not be able to let them in, but not the athletes themselves. What they can't bring is a bunch of IRGC terrorists into our country and pretend that they're, journalists and athletic trainers.
Well, following those comments from Marco Rubio, Al Jazeera has learned from a reliable source that the United States has denied visa applications for 15 members of Iran's technical and executive staff who are officially recognized by FIFA as part of the national team. The players aren't affected. Now, meanwhile, fans from Iran and other countries have been banned from traveling to the US for political or health reasons. Players and officials and fans from several countries have had to wait to find out if they'd have to pay a $15,000 bond before traveling. Now, eventually, they've been told it's not needed. Senegal is one of those countries. Rosalind Jordan has met Senegalese fans in Charlotte, North Carolina, ahead of the warm-up match against the US.
Just how many fans will be able to travel from Senegal to New Jersey for the first game against the French on June 16th is unclear.
Naturally, we're here to show what we're capable of and to replicate the performance we delivered at the Africa Cup of Nations. But this time, to the eyes of the world, we'll give our all for the country.
Earlier this year, the U.S. imposed a visa bond program as high as $15,000 on both players and fans from Senegal, Algeria, Cape Verde, Tunisia, and Ivory Coast, part of the Trump administration's goal to crack down on undocumented immigration. The State Department has recently waived that requirement, but only for fans with tickets who had already signed up for advanced visa screening. The Senegalese coach wanting to keep his attention on the field.
That's not really my area, so I'd prefer not to comment on it. I'd rather focus on the on-field work and the technical, tactical aspects.
Politics has always played its part in the World Cup, but this year, the Trump factor is giving this edition an added edge. Strained economic relations with co-hosts Mexico and Canada, a tough immigration policy, and the war with Iran have all shaped the backdrop to the biggest show in global sport. Iran's World Cup team are scheduled to play all their group games in the United States, but are still having visa issues. And because of the uncertainty, they have moved their base camp to Tijuana in Mexico. But that's not the only complication. Immigration activists fear ICE agents might target local gatherings in support of teams from South America. And human rights groups have warned the U.S. might harass international fans, something the Trump administration denies.
We really need FIFA to step up on, to put the measures in place necessary to protect people, and to make sure that the World Cup can be a safe, free and equal place for everyone.
World Cup tickets have also been a major talking point. The attorneys general of New York and New Jersey have subpoenaed FIFA as part of an investigation into ticket prices. All these concerns, though, are not top of mind for these young fans.
We're so excited to be here, right, boys? Yeah! Yeah!
These young supporters hoping that once the action kicks off, the focus will be just on the pitch rather than off it. Rosalind Jordan, Al Jazeera, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Well, we're joined now by Dave Zirin, sports editor at The Nation, and Sahel Khan, who is a former White House policy advisor. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for being with us on Al Jazeera. Dave, I want to ask you first. I mean, organisers of sports events invariably say that politics should not play a role in sports. Why is it that sports bodies agree to a partnership where they know there's a chance, at least, that politics could try to get involved and take things over?
That's a great question. Like, first of all, we can believe that politics have nothing to do with sports the same way we can believe that gravity does not exist. It's not going to help us when we fall out of an airplane. Politics and sports have been intertwined since the moment the first person took a ball out of a bag and saw that it was popular with others, because it's that popularity, that connection with the masses that has politicians always with their mouths watering and saying, how can I take advantage of this moment? Now, this year is different, though. It feels more political than it ever has. I've been covering World Cups for 20 years. And every World Cup, whether it's been held in a liberal democracy, whether it's been held in an autocracy, has always had a lot of the same features that are always very political, whether the organizers want them to be or not. And the big three, as I always try to explain to people, is debt. They always run up debt. That's a political question. Displacement, moving people out either of their neighborhoods or unhoused people away to beautify a city, and then the militarization of public space. It always happens, particularly in a post-9/11, post-Atlanta 1996 terrorist attack kind of world. But this is the first World Cup I've ever seen that has an element of not just debt, displacement, and militarization, but even a joylessness and a fear and a trepidation about what the Cup could bring when it is in the United States, not to mention Canada and Mexico. It feels different. It certainly feels different from when the U.S. first did the bid years ago. It feels like we live in a much different world, and that's what we're confronted with in the 2026 World Cup.
Okay, so Hal, obviously I want to pick up on those points that Dave's making. The World Cup is always touted as being great for business, great for the profile of whoever is involved in it, great for tourism as well. But does the U.S. actually need all of that? I mean, the critics right when they say that this is actually more about the Trump administration rather than the matches and the football itself.
I think, look, as you said already, politics is integral with sports, and that's something that's just a reality, even if we would like it not to be part of our sporting experiences as part of our national consciousness and national experience. But there's no doubt that this is a political time right now, and President Trump and the administration sought to have the World Cup here. They were able to secure the World Cup in the United States. I think it's something that as Americans we should be proud of, we should welcome. Yes, there's politicization. Yes, there are going to be some challenges, no doubt, when it comes to hosting, not only from the militarization and the immigration challenges that will be associated with the games, but hopefully these will be met, will meet the balance of trying to meet the security needs, for example, but also having a free flow of entertainment and participation by all Americans and our visitors from around the globe. And I hope that, yes, there will be a political element, but that the games, by their very nature, being the World Cup, will transcend the politics that might be transient going day to day. So I'm hopeful that the personalities on the pitch, on the field, will transcend some of the political conversations that might be being had on the internet and otherwise.
I'm certainly very hopeful of the same. And that is the power of sports, that you'll get these moments on the field, on the pitch, that transcend everything that's trying to attach itself to the glory of this event. And of course, politicians globally want to attach themselves to this event. Nothing unites the world's gaze quite like the World Cup. But I have to say, in the United States, if we are going to rise to that occasion, we really have some catching up to do. As I said, I've attended a lot of these World Cups in the past, and usually 1 month, 2 months, even 3 months out, the revelry is starting to begin. The drumbeat is beginning. The excitement is starting. Whether in autocracies or liberal democracies, there's this sense of, we're going to host the world's party. Let's get ready. I've been to several of the host cities. You would not know that the World Cup is coming to the United States right now. And there's more buzz in newspapers locally here, certainly about the UFC event, the Ultimate Fighting Championship event that's going to be on the White House lawn. There's more buzz about the NBA Finals right now, if we're talking just the sports world. And I think among a lot of people in host cities, there is, and this is just from my reporting, and I know I'm not talking to every last person in these host cities, but there is this feeling of trepidation. How much are tickets costing? How much is the public transportation going to cost? Because they're jacking up those prices to get from point A to point B. And what will the presence of ICE and immigration enforcement be at these events? And is there an element of danger that frankly didn't exist even in World Cups in places like Qatar and Russia?
I mean, Iran were one of the first countries to qualify. Donald Trump immediately said, well, it's probably not a good idea if they come, they would be rejected in favor of Italy. It was FIFA that said, no, this is not how this works, and we are going to continue to have the games in Iran. I mean, what is the feeling in terms of the administration towards, for example, having Iran in the country playing in this?
It's a challenge, no doubt. Obviously, we're in a hot war with Iran, and so I understand that the administration would have some trepidation there. But as was stated by FIFA, look, this transcends the politics or even a war. I think the accommodation, if it can be called that, by having Iran play in Mexico, I think was a sensible one that allows the games to continue. So I think this is going to be one of yet several issues that will have to be grappled with, hopefully with some agility, so that we can continue these games and that the world can celebrate sport. You know, one of the things I'm very excited about as an American is not only hosting the games here, but that particularly that it's soccer or football, depending on your perspective, because as somebody who grew up playing baseball and football and maybe getting into basketball later in life, it's exciting that now America is really embracing soccer as a sport. And we're also not only seeing young boys playing soccer, but young girls and women playing soccer. And so this kind of brings us back into the community of nations. Obviously, we have a growing Hispanic population in the United States. They're very excited about having the World Cup here. And so, yes, there are challenges, no doubt. And as David says, maybe there isn't the level of excitement that we would hope there would be prior to the commencement of the games. But I sure hope we can catch up and in a true American spirit, embrace those that are coming from around the globe to really celebrate these games.
I think, Dave, sorry to interrupt, but I do want to come back to you, but I just wanted to, I think it's worth at this point just reminding people the kind of statement that Donald Trump was making with regards to Iran, because it does have an impact on the security element that you were talking about and so on. Now, Iran plays 2 of their 3 games in Los Angeles, and Donald Trump did post on social media. He said the Iran national soccer team is welcome to the World Cup, but I really don't think it's appropriate that they should be here for their own life and their safety. And of course, those are very strong words. Just before we carry on with this, I want to go to Gabriel Elizondo. He's outside a venue there for the final in New Jersey. Gabe, just talk us through. Security is always an issue for any country that is going to be hosting an event like this. Talk to us about how the war in Iran particularly is having an impact on that.
Yeah, that's right. It certainly complicates things for organizers. We're outside of MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. This is where 8 matches will be played during the World Cup, and organizers are expecting about 1.2 million football fans to either come to this stadium to watch matches or come to the New York, New Jersey area to take part in World Cup festivities. Now, there is already security concerns with immigration and custom enforcement, or ICE agents, that say they will be in and around stadiums. But now with the war in Iran, it has added even another layer to this, potentially even more security issues to arise because of potential protests that could transpire throughout the United States as well. All of this is, again, potential, but it certainly complicates things for organizers, but also for fans that just want to simply take part in the football festivities here in the United States and elsewhere.
It's Gabriel Elizondo there in New Jersey. Thanks very much indeed. Let's come back to the security element we were talking about. We just heard moments before we came on air that the White House has banned 15 members of Iran's technical and executive element of their team. We don't understand clearly yet what the reasons for that are, but we do know, of course, Marco Rubio was saying earlier on that if there was an affiliation with the Revolutionary Guard, Iran Revolutionary Guard, then they would definitely not be coming in. Having said that, it kind of leaves the administration open to the criticism that, yes, you're allowed to, of course, maintain your own security, but at the same time, you're doing this to a country that you're at war with in a competition, and the chances are that may well affect the way that they perform in the field. And there's going to be an element of cynicism, isn't there, about what the motivation was for stopping these people coming in.
I agree. We yet have to learn exactly what the specifics are as to this banning of those particular individuals. But my hope is that this is, like everything involving this administration, a negotiation, and that perhaps this banning, at least at the outset, will not be the final word, and there will be, FIFA will also be engaged in this conversation, and that there will be some modification or some type of arrangement made so that this type of precedent isn't set where individual country teams have that type of political scrutiny whereby their affiliations become, again, part of the conversation when it comes to sport.
I really hope it's an open question whether this is actually going to happen, because it runs counter to the entire spirit of what the World Cup is supposed to be. Now, the head of FIFA, Gianni Infantino, he has earned a PhD in, shall we say, being tender to Donald Trump. It's unbelievable, from wearing a MAGA hat to actually, he has been a guest at the White House more than any Democratic Party politician since Trump has been in office in this second term. He is a regular there. He's part of the Board of Peace that is attempting to remake what's happening in the Middle East. So he is in with this administration. Now, I was actually at first very pleasantly surprised that he did not say, okay, we're going to ban Iran, because that's what Donald Trump wants, because everything Infantino has done has been at the behest of Donald Trump. But that would have caused beyond an uproar, because no one has actually been banned from the World Cup for political reasons in 8 decades. So that would have been just an unbelievable international incident if such a thing had taken place. But at the same time, my concern, and I really hope Mr. Khan is correct, that this is a negotiation and we're going to figure this out correctly and let people in who need to be let in. But my big concern is that this is just banning them by another name, hampering their ability to compete, hampering their ability to play on a level playing field, because frankly, that's what sports is all about. Sports is the level playing field. Politics is the unlevel playing field. So the more we can keep politics out and let the athletes just have their say, the better. I want to
talk about another element of the politics in this, and you've just touched on it. Gianni Infantino himself and his relationship with Donald Trump. He gave Donald Trump the inaugural FIFA Peace Award. There was a lot of speculation about what was motivating that. He also tried to get Israeli and Palestinian delegates to shake hands at the FIFA Congress in Vancouver. That didn't exactly go well. Is there a strategy here, do you think, or is there a kind of well-meaning naivety to it?
No, there's no naivety. Gianni Infantino's been in this business for a long time. He knows exactly what he is doing. What he's doing is tilting the needs of FIFA away from what his predecessor, Sepp Blatter, was doing, which was a point of Sepp Blatter. One of his big things was like, I am standing with the teams of the global South, oftentimes in a very corrupt manner, to be clear. This is not here to praise Sepp Blatter, but it was also in opposition to the idea that the United States was going to rule the roost, the way they rule the roost, say, of the International Olympic Committee. Infantino has tilted very strongly, not just to the United States and U.S. politics, but to this administration, in a way that's really unprecedented. I mean, wearing the MAGA cap. You mentioned some of the other thing that I think is very significant is he's put forward the idea that he has a solution for the depopulation of Gaza, saying that we're going to now we're going to invest billions in a series of stadiums and turn Gaza into this Shangri-La of soccer. I mean, that is a very, whether one agrees or disagrees, that is an incredibly aggressive political posture to say FIFA is going to play a role in the reconstruction, rebuilding, and post-depopulation of Gaza. That's a wild thing for the head of international soccer to put themselves forward to do, just in terms of the political minefield in and of itself. So I don't think he's earned the right to have a lot of faith in terms of his ability to be a good faith actor in terms of what's happened in Iran. But I'm going to be an optimist, and I'm going to hope for the best on this, because I really just want everything settled on the pitch, even with what's happening outside.
I want to turn this back a little bit to the importance of the emergence, rather, of soccer itself within the United States. This is, of course, a nation that's embedded in the joys of American football, but soccer has been building on its popularity, particularly, of course, because it was based predominantly in immigrants. And so Rory Challens has been reporting on this.
We do everything together. Put your hands in, together on 3 again, okay? 1, 2, 3. Together! Let's go.
Spring championship nights in the Northern Virginia Soccer League. Serious amateurs from jobs and immigrant communities across the Washington, D.C. area are here to play. In the evening light, they channel their icons, Ronaldo, Messi, Mbappe.
It's the one thing that helped me focus in life. It taught me discipline. It's taught me how hard work pays off.
Once I step on the field, I feel like I'm just a different character.
Something's happened in recent years. A nation supposedly resistant to the charms of the beautiful game has been falling in love with soccer.
Folks that weren't as familiar with soccer started recognizing the atmosphere is more similar to like college football than anything. And once you realize you have that like community and supporters groups and just how fun it is to play, it's just grown exponentially since then.
Immigrants have driven this boom, but kids and amateur leagues, women's sports, streaming culture and international club fandom have played big roles too. Soccer is more popular in the US than it's ever been. Last year, 16.8 million people played it outdoors, 6.6 million played it indoors. American football and basketball still hold the top spots, but more Americans now rate soccer as their favourite sport than baseball. And it's good business. The US is now the biggest foreign market for the 4 largest European leagues.
New York and more rain.
The cliché that Americans have always ignored soccer in favour of homegrown sports is only partially true. The game has deep US roots. It was always there among immigrants, Anglo-Saxons first, then waves of Italians and Latinos.
You show me how to do it again.
At a big breakthrough in 1975, Brazilian superstar Pelé showed President Ford his skills and signed for the New York Cosmos. Another boost in the 90s, the US hosted the '94 World Cup and kicked off a new professional league, Major League Soccer. In 2023, a major coup with the signing of the world's biggest star, Lionel Messi, joining Inter Miami. The domestic league still has a long way to go to match European soccer and other US sports. But the grassroots, week in, week out, that's where US soccer lives.
World Cup being here means a big deal because it puts a light on what talent Americans have, and this is Americans from everywhere, just not United States.
Be great for people to be able to afford to go, but if you can get normal everyday people in the stadiums, it's going to blow up.
For immigrants adopting the US sports, basketball, baseball, American football, that's a way of showing that they belong here, that they are Americans now. But soccer, with all the passion of watching, supporting, playing, that's a living connection to the wider world and the places that these newer Americans or their parents have come from. Rory Challens, Al Jazeera, Virginia.
Dave, there seems to be, you were talking about earlier, a different level of publicity that's been given to this in the States compared to Mexico and Canada and so on. When you've been traveling around, you said you've been to a variety of the different venues. What are fans telling you about what they're expecting from this?
Well, there's 2 things. One, obviously, there's excitement for the very reason your report said. Soccer is now the #1, I would add to your report, the #1 youth sport in the United States in terms of total participation. I mean, it is something that people are excited about, particularly young soccer clubs. They're trying to figure out ways to go. So you have that aspect of it, which I hope fosters further. But there is a ton of trepidation about the events as well, particularly the presence of ICE, particularly the presence of immigration security, particularly because of the mixed messages from the administration, because we've heard both. We've heard ICE is not going to be a factor. People can come and enjoy themselves, come stay at the hotels, spend your money. But we've also heard, jokes from people like J.D. Vance saying, if you stay 1 day longer, we'll be there to get you. And he said that with a smile, but it's really not funny when you think about the prisons that ICE has been sending people to, from some of the facilities in the United States, which have come under scrutiny, to places in El Salvador and Uganda.
I just want to take some of those points to Sohail just before we've got about a minute left. Sohail, it's going to be difficult, isn't it, for any administration to be able to unpick the level of security from a level of intimidation. Do you think that the White House is going to be able to manage that?
It's to be determined, honestly. With any large sporting event, whether it's the World Series, Super Bowl, etc., you always have serious security concerns, particularly post 9/11. Here you have the international element, where you have visitors coming from all over the globe. On the one hand, the United States wants to welcome them. We obviously welcome the business, the revenue that will be generated from this activity. On the other hand, Donald Trump has run on a message of trying to get to those that are here illegally. And so with the ICE agents, as Dave mentioned, and other types of challenges, that will be a mixed message to the world. And even for fans here in the United States that want to attend, that may not be in status when it comes to their immigration. So this will be a challenge. I'm hoping again that there will be a lighter touch and that the sport will prevail.
And we're going to leave it there, gentlemen. Thank you. I want to say thanks to our guest today, Dave Zion, sports editor at The Nation, Sohail Khan, former White House policy advisor. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. Now, as for the tournament itself, here's Jana Garcia-Rowska to explain how it's all going to work.
For years, FIFA President Gianni Infantino has talked about getting more countries involved at a World Cup. That push finally took shape in January 2017 when football's governing body voted to expand the tournament from 32 to 48 teams. Under the new format, there will be 104 matches at this World Cup. That's 40 more than at Qatar 2022. Those games will be played across 16 host cities in the USA, Mexico and Canada. That's a huge change from the compact 2022 tournament in Qatar, where a fan could realistically attend 2 or even 3 matches in a single day. The 48 teams will be split into 12 groups of 4. The top 2 from each group, plus the 8 best third-place teams, will move into a new 32-team knockout phase. From there, the tournament runs through the round of 32, the round of 16, quarterfinals, semi-finals, and then the final. By the time we get to the decider at MetLife Stadium in New York, New Jersey on July the 19th, the champions will have played 8 matches. That's 1 more than the 7 required by Argentina when they won Qatar 2022.
And that's all from the team here in Washington, but we couldn't leave without giving you some fan predictions about who's going to walk away with the World Cup.
I have to think that Spain continues to be, pretty much an odds-on favorite.
I put into the final Spain, England, I believe.
England has a chance, I'm not gonna lie. France.
USA, because we're hosting the World Cup and it's our time.
Honestly, Argentina.
France can be in the top.
I think it's a new level of soccer in the U.S. and people are really behind it this year. So
I'd like to see England, since obviously I'd like to see the U.S. raise the trophy, but realistically I don't think they can get there. So England may have a chance.
Don't forget that you can always watch the latest episode of This Is America wherever you are in the world, Monday through Friday, 18:30 GMT. That's 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time if you're here in the United States. And from all of us in Washington, it's goodbye for now.